I've got three quick stories I want to share with you tonight, and they all deal in some way with relationship. And I want to tie it all together. The first story that I want to share changed my life. The second story broke my heart and then totally healed and restored it. And the third one confirmed absolutely the work that we do makes a huge difference in our life. But it's all about relationship. So the first story, 21 years ago, in 1997, it was the summertime, and I went to Lake Tahoe, South Shore, and I don't know why I was there, but it was like a parking lot outside one of the big resorts, and they had a festival going on with those little 10 by 10 pop-up booths everywhere. And I'm walking around, and for 10 years before that, I had been reading and studying and watching a man by the name of Dr. Leo Buscaglia. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that name before. But he was a USC professor and was really, really into relationships and really into love. And in his class, he had a woman who was sitting near the front row that just had a sparkle in her eye, and she had a sweet smile, and he just always enjoyed teaching the class and looking down and seeing her, in the front row. And he noticed one day that she wasn't there. And then the second day, she wasn't there. And then the third day, she wasn't there. And he's made some inquiries, and he discovered that first night that the last day he saw her, she went home and she committed suicide. And it just rocked him, because he's saying, I'm up here teaching, and there's some way I should have made a difference in her life to know that she mattered, that she counted, that I could have somehow showed her platonic professional love to where she she has some reason to go forward. It really rocked him. And so he went to the dean of the division and said, I want to form a new class, and it's going to be called Love 101. And the dean said, there's no way that's going to be a credited course at USC. And the students who come to USC are not going to be taking classes that don't offer credit. But so good luck with that. So they put it in the syllabus or the prospectus, and it went out. And the first year that class was offered was oversubscribed by threefold. And every year for years and years and years, it was completely oversubscribed. And in there, he taught and showed and shared about how to love one another and the importance and the care of that. And he's Italian from Italy, and he's a big hugger. And so I watched him on ABC, CBS, NBC, CBS Sunday Morning News and whatever during the 80s. And so back in the 80s, he was a rock star. So in 1997, in the summertime, I'm walking around this festival in Lake Tahoe, and I look up, and there's Dr. Leo Buscaglia walking by himself. And I go, oh, I got to meet him. So I walk over to him, and I say, Dr. Buscaglia, my name is Dan Fox. I put my hand out. And he turns and sees me. And he walks over the 2 steps. He walks over, and he grabs me, and he hugs me. Like full embrace hug. Not a bro hug, but a full embrace hug. Like this long. And then pulls back. And as he pulls back from me, his hands come down my arms to my elbows, and he's still gently holding on. And he said the most startling thing. He looked me in the eye, and he said, Dan, it is so great to finally meet you. And he meant it. And I'm a nobody. There's no way he had ever heard of me, but he meant it. And as we began to chat back and forth for a few moments, others recognized that it was Dr. Leo Buscaglia. So all of a sudden, I noticed that there's a crowd of 20 or 30 people around us waiting to come in and meet with him. But for those few minutes that we were together, he was right here with me, directly looking at me. No one else in the world existed for him but me in those few moments. I knew I was completely loved and accepted by this man in a matter of moments. It doesn't take a long time to make someone get that you love them. And it transformed my heart, and I found myself being completely open and risking and vulnerable with him. And he immediately asked me, so tell me, Dan, what do you do? And I said, well, I've just opened up an executive coaching company to coach CEOs and vice presidents. Just did, 21 years ago. I just opened it up. And he said, how's that going? And I said, well, not that great. See, they'll hire me to come in and they'll tell me a problem they're having in their corporation. Conflict between 2 VPs, or there's no alignment, or there's backstabbing, or, we don't have any good, clear, concise goals or whatever. And I'll offer my suggestions and my advice from my experience. And I'll say, try this. You should look at this. This is what's standing in the way. You can make this happen. And most of my clients will look back at me and they'll say, well, Dan, I hear what you're saying, but I would argue that this is what we should do. And it always struck me like, why did you hire me if you've already got it figured out? Why did you buy a dog and stand in the yard and bark yourself? You know, and I told Dr. Buscaglia that, and he goes, oh, yeah. And he looks me in the eyes, he's still holding my elbows, and he goes, Dan, you first have to show them the need. And being the cool dude that I was, I go, oh, yeah. You know, Dan, you first have to show them the need. So we chatted for a few more minutes, and then he hugged me again, and then we parted. It was probably 10 minutes. And as I began to drive home from South Shore Tahoe back to Danville, 3.5, 4 hours, I'm going, I've got to get this, because that was some kind of a wild, beautiful gem. There's something here. Dan, you first have to show them the need. Dan, you first have to show them the need. And I kept repeating it, and it ain't coming. And I go, all my clients are different. What's the common need? And so I finally decided to break it down, one word at a time. I'm going to sort this out, one word at a time. Dan, you have to. Okay, so it's not optional. It's not a give or maybe I don't do it or whatever. You have to do this. Dan, you have to first, before anything else, okay? You have to, before anything else, show. Dan, you first have to show them the need. Show. Okay, so it's not talk, it's not speak, it's not advise, it's not counsel, it's not doing, it's showing. Showing means whatever it is has to be inside of me. It has to be present here first in order for it to show. So Dan, you first have to show them the need. What's the need? They're all different. What is their common need? What could that possibly be? And then I got frustrated for a moment. I'm driving, and I just reflected back on how warm it felt to be embraced and loved by him, to be accepted by him like that, and to have me be the single focus of his attention. I know that I was totally loved, and that just felt so great. And then it hit me. That's it. That's the need. We all need to be loved and accepted, appreciated. We matter. That's what we all need. Yes? Do we need to be loved by somebody or many? Yes, common, regardless who you are. Look at this diverse group. We all need to be loved. And so I go, whoa. And that's what he did for me. Leo, you first have to show Dan the need. He showed me the love. So he modeled what he was talking about that he was telling me to go do. And so I got back, and all of a sudden from that moment forward, when I go to see an existing client, I had 2 or 3, I would forget the advice part, right, for right now. I would get into relationship and go, how are you today? I'm so glad to be here. I've been looking forward to it. How are you doing? And all of a sudden I noticed that by showing them my love for them, they opened up and they got vulnerable. And within 1 year, my business exploded, and I had 31 CEOs I was coaching. Now, after 21 years, it's 400 CEOs and 4,000 VPs all over the world. So it opened the door and changed my work life by just coming from love. But it has to be authentic. And so I go, how am I going to make this authentic? Because I don't know these people, and I'm supposed to love them. And then it clicked. If I look at them and I pretend to know what they were like when they were 7 years old, that's who they truly are. They want to be loved. They want to have fun. They want to be appreciated. They want to be accepted. They have no malice in their heart. They haven't collected any baggage or any wounds yet. So they're just being truly, purely who they are. And each one of these people have had feelings of resentment, betrayal, love, joy, excitement, adventure. And I've had those feelings too. So I know them because I know exactly how they felt. I may not know for a moment exactly how they feel in this moment, but in a moment I'll know how they feel, and I felt that myself. So I can have compassion to love them. It changed my life. Second story. And this one broke my heart, and now I am just rejoicing like crazy. Short while back, I run into someone that I knew, Project Heart, kind of a sometimes comes, but haven't been there for a while kind of guy. And what? And so I see him and I recognize him and he recognizes me. And I go over to him and I hug him and I go, hi, it's so good to see you. How are you? And I had noticed as I was walking over to him, it looks like he's lost about 30 pounds and he wasn't overweight before. And I said, how are you? And his response looked something like this. Oh, okay. You know. And I go, what's going on? And he vulnerably opened up to me and shared that he had a big, deep run with meth and opioids recently and had a hospital stay. But just before that, got to the end of his rope. And took a revolver, stuck a bullet in it, one bullet in 6 cylinders, spun it, flip it, close it, and pulled the trigger. And he did that every day for 7 days. And so you think, that if you have 6 cylinders and you only put one bullet in, but you spin it 6 times over 6 days, the odds are it's going to go off. And the 7th day it didn't go off. He said, I know there's a God, and I know it's not my time. And I loved on him. And we got some people around, and we reached out. What can we do? What can we help? And I know how we can help, how we show up. What rejoices in my heart right now, and I got permission to do this story, what blesses me so much tonight is that man is in this room with us tonight. Yeah. Our bottoms can't be too low unless we kill ourselves. It's a blessed bottom, because it takes a blessed bottom for me to kill my pride and my ego and to surrender and go, I ain't got this. The non-religious organization called 12 Steps admitted I'm powerless over fill in the blank, drugs, alcohol, whatever. My life has become unmanageable. Step 2, came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. Step 3, turn my will and life over to the care of God as I understand him. Some things are bigger than us. A lot of things are bigger than us. And as human beings, we don't want to admit that. That's pride and ego. It's easy to look at the one individual who's coming detoxing off of a big run and be able to go, oh yeah, and accidentally, subconsciously, quietly look down our nose and go, I'm glad I'm not there. It's fine. But there's over 200 12-step programs in the world today, different ones. Drugs, alcohol, gambling, overeating, hoarding, you name it. Pornography. And we're all in the same boat. We're human beings. We have stuff in our background, shame in our background. I read a report last week that said that 79% of adult males between the ages of 18 and 30 have watched a pornographic video in the last 30 days. That's 8 out of 10. Dopamine hit. Yeah. Alcohol, dopamine. Drugs, dopamine. Gambling, dopamine. Pornography, dopamine. Are we addicted? Now, women, thank goodness, are a lot better than us guys. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because the report showed that only 76% of women 18 to 30 years old have watched a pornographic film or video in the last 30 days. You're 3% better than us. Yes, we knew that. 3% throwdown, yeah. I don't care who you are. What's your drug of choice? Ego, power, being right, hoarding, gambling, materialism? Oh, I don't have any of those. Okay. Tell you what, they say that if you're an alcoholic and you wake up in the morning and the first thing that crosses your mind is a craving desire to have a drink, you might be an alcoholic. Okay. So first thing in the morning, do you check your cell phone before you go to the bathroom and get coffee? Dopamine. Do you walk from one room to another carrying the phone? You might be an addict. Can we look at each other and say, we're all in the same boat. We're called human beings, and we have stuff. And where do these craving and desires for dopamine hits occur? Why do they come up? It's because of the wreckage and the baggage and the wounds and the brokenness of our past. And we take those things that cause shame, and we put them in a box, and we close the lid. I can't share that with anyone, because they would really judge me. And we stuff it in a box. But what we bury alive stays alive. And it shows up, and we carry it. And we don't even know we carry more and more and more and more of it as time goes on. But sometime we get to a place where we go, you know what, I need to feel better. This is really a drag, and it's really weighing on me. I need to feel better. The ease and comfort that it once comes from a single drink or drug or whatever. Okay, the baggage goes away for a minute. But it causes more wreckage. So we lose our license, we get a wet reckless, we lose our car. So we lose our job. So we lose our apartment. So we lose our family. So what? Guys that haven't come to a place of humble surrender. I still love them deeply. Have said things like, I can do 30 days of Wayne Brown standing on my head. Okay. Is that the choice you want to make? We're all in the same boat. I just don't know what the flavor is for you, and I don't care. I just love you. But when we open up that box and we pull that piece of shame out, there's something interesting you should know about shame. And that is, shame can only do two things. It can only attack from behind, and it can only live in the dark. And when you bring shame out and you hit it to the light by sharing what it is that's driving your show, when you share that piece of shame with one individual whom you've grown and come to know that loves you, accepts you, and trusts you, and will keep a confidence about that, we carefully choose that person and we share that with them. It comes out of the dark, it comes out from behind, and it comes into the light. And like a petri dish, when the sunlight hits it, it dies. It becomes guilt. I can't deal with shame because it's boxed, it's hidden. But I can deal with guilt. I can made a list of all those people I've harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. I can make amends whenever possible, except when to do so would cause harm to them or others. I can handle my amends for cleaning up my side of the street. I don't care about them. I'm doing this for me. I need to be free of that baggage and that wound. So therefore, I can come to a place where I can say, you know what? I'm really good. How are you? I can get off me. I'm not restless, irritable, discontented anymore. I can get off me and I can come and be there with you. So Project Heart gives you a place where we can find friends who will love you, who will embrace you, who you'll trust. And through that love and that vulnerability, you begin to open up. And when you open up, you open that box and you pull something out. And it transforms to something we can work on. And when the baggage is removed, the brokenness is healed, the wounds are taken care of. When that goes away, you find yourself having peace. Maybe not huge material wealth or all your problems are solved or you don't have a court date anymore, none of that, but at least you have a peace. I got stuff I got to work through. It'll take a while to fix it, but I can do that. I'm okay. I don't need that. I don't need that drink or that drug. But it's a cycle that spins down if we're not careful. We lose the car, and we lose the job, and we lose the apartment, and we lose the family, and we're surfing on a couch, and somebody hands us a pipe. And then we don't have income, so we got to go steal in order to feed that. So it's a progressive disease. It only gets worse, but there's another opportunity. There's another choice. Take a knife and stab the pride and the ego in the eye. Kill it. Surrender. And boy, when I first heard the word surrender, if you're a guy, you go, quitting, failing, loser, surrender? I don't think so. And then someone pulled me aside and said, you know the other definition of surrender? I go, what? They go, it's going to the winning side. Come to the winning side. You can have an incredible life. Story 3. About a month ago, I meet a brand new client for the very first time. First time meeting, probably 45, 48 years old. Silicon Valley, wonderful man, probably makes $275,000 a year, been married 25 years, has 3 kids, all of them are well, going to college. He and his wife are in a faithful marriage relationship, nice home. Everything on the outside looks like great. No drugs, no alcohol, no addiction. Great. Super. So I meet with him and I say, as a part of my executive coaching, I need to help you get where you want to go. Tell me where you want to go. Like, what would you like to have occur? What would you like to gain? Where would you like to go? What would you like to have? Who would you like to be? Something that's going to pull you forward into the future. Because if the future is nothing but a blank white canvas and there's nothing that pulls you forward, all we're left to do is to stare at the past. And if we stare at the past, all we can do is create nothing bigger or better than the past. So what would you love to have happen in your life if you could have anything going forward? And just like 99% of all the clients I've worked with for 21 years, he looks at me and says, oh, gosh, I don't know. I really haven't thought about it. I go, okay, that's fine. Let's take a moment, since we have a moment in this session, we still have an hour left, let's take a moment and think about what that might be. What would you love to have? And he says, well, I don't know. I probably would like to have a house on the East Coast on the beach in the New England state area. I'd like to have a house on the beach. That's where I grew up, and I have really great memories there. And I said, great. So you've told me a statement of fact, but I need to have a picture, like a corporate vision, like a personal vision. Paint a vision for me. Tell me what it would look like. He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, tell me, do you see yourself standing on the beach looking back at the house? Is it pastel yellow with white trim? Does it have a wraparound porch? Are there two swings on the front porch or what? Or do you see yourself sitting on the wraparound porch with your wife looking out at the ocean? Paint a picture for me. Make it real so it'll have some power to pull you forward. What's it look like? And he goes, I can't. And I go, why? He said, I don't know. I just feel stuck. It's like there's a lump in my throat. And I go, okay, forget the house. Tell me about the lump. What's the lump represent? And now his bottom lip starts to quiver. And tears are streaming down his face. And he says, Grandma. I go, okay. Tell me about Grandma. Now, he says, I love my grandma so much. And she loved me so much. We were so close and so tight. And one day I called her when I was 6 years old. I was telling her a joke on the phone because I wanted to hear her laugh. And I told her this joke, and she started laughing. And after the laughter subsided or whatever, she started coughing, from the laughing. And then she said to me, honey, I love you, but I got to go. I love you. And he said, I love you too, Grandma. And she hung up the phone. And the next day he found out that after her coughing spell, she went and sat down on the couch, had a massive heart attack, and died. And now he's sobbing, crying, like jerking, shaking, crying. And I said, it's okay. This is perfect. It's okay. I love you, brother. It's okay. And I let him cry for about another minute. And then he finally stopped, and he looked up, and I said, so you blame yourself for killing your grandma? He nods his head. And I said, we heard a lot about the Bible tonight, but I happen to go there. I love it. It's the inspired word of God for me. But there's a scripture that says, it is appointed unto man once to die and then the judgment. It's appointed. I said, do you realize that it's an appointment? You don't set the appointment. It's set for you. It's an appointment that you're going to die. And there's nothing you can do to push it out 1 second or pull it in 1 second. It's an appointment. That being the case, you had nothing to do with her dying. It was her time. I said, when are you going to forgive yourself for something you didn't do? And he said, yeah, how? And I said, right now I want you to make a decision. Make a decision in your head, and I want you to say the decision you've made, and that is, I forgive myself for something I did not do. It wasn't my deal. And I said, then I want you to ask God. I'd asked him earlier, do you have a God of your understanding? I don't care if it's a church or mine or whatever. Do you have a God of your understanding? He says, yes. I said, great. Ask God to heal that place in your heart. So he didn't say anything out loud, just bowed his head, and he did it. And like 2 minutes later, he said, I can't believe this. I go, what? He said, I've been carrying that for 45 years and never knew what it was. I never had a clue what it was. I felt that lump in my throat all the time. I cried at my sister's wedding because there was a picture of Grandma on the side of the church. He said, how'd you do that? I've had counseling sessions for, over the years, and nobody's ever discovered that. How'd you do it? And I go, I didn't. I'm not that good. You did, because you became willing in a trusting environment to open that box and pull it out. You did it because you felt safe. God did the rest of the work. I just followed the intuitive lead called, oh, lump, chase that. Oh, Grandma, chase that. I don't know what I'm doing. He said, I feel like 2,000 pounds are off my shoulders and off my chest. I'm free. The emotional experience of free and peace. He didn't know it was there. We all have it. We all have that stuff. It comes from relationships. What Dr. Buscaglia did for me in 10 minutes in South Shore changed my life. He showed me the critical need for love, and I fell in love with the idea of loving. And my other friend, it's by relationships and by his willingness to be vulnerable that he's here in this room tonight. And by my third client, who in all estimations is perfect, discovered this past, discovered the shame. What's in your box? What's back there that you don't even dare look at? You've buried for so long. Don't bring it up until you find someone that you trust, that loves you, and won't judge you and accepts you and can hear your story, and you feel like they're worthy of hearing your story, and you open up and you share it and let it hit the light and become free. Thank you.